welcome to Fairleigh Dickinson University. My name is Craig Morton. I'm the Assistant Provost of the Metropolitan Campus. I know the program says Dr. Joseph Kiernan would be doing the introduction. Provost Kiernan sends his regards. He has emergency come up that he's not able to join us tonight. But it's my pleasure to be here this evening to introduce. When I saw that Dr. Murphy was planning this event, I was very excited that this is how we're starting this semester's and this academic year's UN Pathways event, because this topic resonates quite deeply with me and my own personal experience. So it's wonderful to be here tonight to welcome all the students, faculty, staff, and community members here. So thank you for coming tonight. I know we're going to have a wonderful evening tonight with our esteemed guests, so thank you for that. Such an amazing topic, manifesting our vision. What powerful language that we have here. So I'm going to keep my remarks brief because I want to make sure that she has the ultimate amount of time to present her vision, her wisdom to us. But do open your hearts and listen to what has she say, because I know she'll be an amazing experience for you. So again, thank you for coming to FDU tonight, and thank you for joining us. And we hope to see you at other UN Pathway events this year. So I'm going to now turn over to Dr. Joanne Murphy from the Office of Global Learning.
Good evening, everyone. We're very pleased to see all of you here with us. I'm a lot shorter than he is. Thank you so much. Prior to our beginning our program, I'd like to ask each one of you to turn off or to mute your cell phones. If you would please kindly do that. Tonight's event has been years in the making, beginning with a conversation I had several years ago with Sandy Sheridan, who represents the Sunray Meditation Society in the NGO Committee on the International Decade for the World's Indigenous Peoples at the UN. We had a number of conversations about what if, wouldn't it be wonderful, and voila, she's here. We're very happy about that. For your information, Fairleigh Dickinson University is an active member of the NGO Committee on Indigenous Peoples at the UN, among others. And within that context, we are committed to giving our students exposure to fellow NGOs, the work that they are accomplishing throughout our world, and their particular perspectives on matters of importance to all of us. At the information table outside the room, all of you received a bio of Venerable, so I am not going to spend time going into detail about her background. And I do not wish to steal too much time from her presentation, but suffices to say that we are in the presence of a person of great wisdom and intelligence far beyond the ordinary, one whose vision functions beyond the parameters of time and space. Tonight, I ask you to fine-tune your listening abilities and listen very carefully. Venerable Dhyani Ywahoo will be sharing with us information that will stretch our understanding of who we are in relation to all that is, the responsibilities that we each carry, regardless of our national or spiritual affiliations, and the unlimited potential that resides within each of us to achieve world peace, transformation of life on this planet, and of our own personal selves. She will also reveal some of the science that supports the enlightening information given to us during her presentation. Without further delay, it is my great pleasure to place this evening's program in the very capable hands of Venerable Dhyani Ywahoo.
Thank you so much for the invitation. Well, we hear much talk about change, and we certainly are living in moments where the systems we've counted upon and thought would continue, we see these systems are also in transformation. What is significant to know about the dance of transformation is that it begins first in our minds. That concepts, thoughts, they become the basis of what we consider our reality. And often the young person and the great-grandperson can be so busy handling the details of the moment that we may overlook the interdependent relationship of our consciousness and the arising appearances around us. So I invite you to consider that wisdom is your natural state, and that the seed of wisdom, it is nurtured by your careful speech and walking with integrity. What does it mean, integrity? It means to keep our word, to do the best we can, and also to continuously polish our minds, to keep learning. Because we have the gift of the human body and it is not so easily obtained, there is not any time to waste. These days, many scientists are meeting with Native Americans and indigenous people throughout the world. And the reason that scientists are seeking out information from indigenous peoples is because of the direct perception and remembrance that our speech and our intelligence, like music, creates a wave in the field. And so advertising is built on the understanding that you establish something that resonates with people's view, and then people are attracted to and then even hooked into the idea that is conveyed in the advertisement. And as human beings, we also may hook ourselves upon the sense of fear. So when you're in school and you have a future to consider, you may have uncertainty. Well, how will I manifest it? And actually, what you conceptualize and visualize and dedicate the accomplishment of is made manifest through your interrelationships with one another. On a simple level, we learn from old communities and perhaps your own elders who may have come to this country from afar. We learn the medicine of working together, nurturing one another. In the Haitian community, it is sometimes called a susu, where people will put their money together. So each week, community members would put money in the pot, and then each week someone receives that whole pot. That is a simple banking system, and it is a way of investing within your community and nurturing the creative potential in your circle. Why is it important, our circle of relationships? We have the fortune of a human body, an opportunity for a good intelligence, an opportunity for a great education. And when you go into the world, it is the relationships you've made, often in your college years and even earlier, that become the basis or the screen on which you can express your potential and your vision. So relationships are important. In the old way of the people of this land, we talk about the spiritual responsibility to our family, our clan, our nation, the land, and all beings. So what is your family? It is, of course, your blood relatives, and then there is also the sense of clan relationship that arises with people of like mind, like those who study to become journalists. They're developing a particular view, a way of looking behind the curtain to see what is really going on. In a sense, you've become a clan. While you may not be related to each other, you have trained your minds to look behind the curtain to see more clearly what is arising. And this gift of the intelligence to look behind the appearances is actually a spiritual responsibility. We hear many things, and of course we understand. We have ideals as families, clans, and nations. And also as young people and as elders, we have a responsibility to look and see what else is arising. What is the potential that we may manifest? So the idea is energy. The university, it was, I see the idea was conceived on a date. The founder of the university was meeting his wife, and it is said that he decided at that time to establish Fairleigh Dickinson as a university. So he had an idea, and he also had a connection with future generations. He had a connection with those who were yet to be born, who would come and be enriched by the university. And so an idea becomes manifest when we have a bit of passion and also a willingness to act. So now we hear the idea of things falling apart. For those of you who are studying literature, you might have read the book by Chinua Achebe called Things Fall Apart. If you haven't yet read it, it is a good book. It is about changing cultures, times of change in Africa. And things change. How we respond to those changes is up to each of us. Some may decide to abdicate their spiritual authority. What is it to abdicate your spiritual authority? It is to think that someone else has direct access to knowledge, that someone else has the means to accomplish, and that you do not. Yes, there are people who it seems that their accomplishment is far away, and yet the fact that you can see what they have accomplished also means that you may learn from those accomplishments and further refine those skill sets that you see somewhere else. Because knowledge is energy. And this has become very more apparent through research that has been done in Russia that is fascinating. The science is called epigenetics, and it is actually proving that the DNA, can you imagine the DNA in your cells and our bodies, responds to our thought, our speech. Some simplify and speak of intention, and like the grammar of ancient languages, the DNA structure within our bodies receives information. And so this is very new research, and you can actually begin, those of you who like to search online, you can search DNA being reprogrammed by words and frequencies, and it's actually called the science of epigenetics, how our minds reprogram our genes. You've heard the stories of some people being told they only have a certain amount of time to live. We all, or many of us, have experienced a miracle where someone's life seemed to be in danger, or even their life appeared hopeless. Yet something turned their heart, something changed the situation, and on a simple level we can consider it the power of prayer, or we may recognize it as the power of living in resonant harmony with the universe. So resonant harmony, it is to understand that just as the ocean has waves and that there are movements of tides, there is also a field of consciousness that we all share in. And in a sense, that group consciousness becomes apparent as the way a neighborhood decorates itself in different times of the year. And in more subtle ways, that group consciousness is actually a basis of our viewing the world and our belief systems. What is important to know is that just as the orchestra to create the most profound sounds that carry us to deep states of understanding and comfort, also there are the voices of communities, and particularly the voices of cultures. So while we are living in a global economy, it is also very significant, the voice and the spiritual practice of different communities. So in the Cherokee way, we have a mother village. That mother village is called a peace village, where people may come and learn to focus their minds, transform their view, develop skills that will support their communities that they will go back to. And there is always a connection to that mother village. And we do certain things on a regular basis that we call a ceremonial cycle that is related to planting and harvesting. And so by sharing this planting and harvesting cycle, we are also keeping a voice in the orchestra alive. That voice is our appreciation for the potential within the plant. So each young person is seen as a potentially great leader for the people, or one who will bring the medicine that heals the broken hearts. That we develop the eyes that sees in each young person that this could be the one. In fact, there is a joke among many Native families, because when you have a get-together, elders will come up and speak to the child and ask you, are you the one? Are you the one? Because we all have hope. We have awareness that you are the future. And I ask you now, are you the one? I know that you are. That each of you is the one who will bring forth that which will liberate yourself and others from confused states. How? By contemplating what you want to accomplish and who will benefit from this accomplishment. Because when we want something for ourselves alone, that is comfortable and wonderful, and we live in a society, and there is greater result when we consider the impact of our intention as a benefit for the large community. So what I want is that there is fresh water for the future generations, and there is not something that will cost them, that the fresh water is freely available. And I dream that all who wish may have an education, and that it does not create a debt load that becomes a millstone in the future. That's a wish, because I have lots of grandchildren, and college tuition and those issues I think about, because it takes a whole family to get them all through school. So that's one person's wish. And then what does one person do to support the actualization of that wish? You find other people who are skillful in generating scholarship funds. You find other people who are skillful in inspiring the young ones to remember who you are. It is not just for the grandparents that you do well. You excel because you are a being of wisdom. You are a being of light and incredible potential. And stored within you, inside each of you, is the wisdom and the accomplishment of all your ancestors. So all those aha moments are also within us. And you see this when a 2-year-old is able to program the iPod for you, or when you see a 1-year-old reading a magazine as if it were an iPad, and then getting frustrated and testing her fingers on her legs to see if her finger is still working. So these young folks are changed, and knowledge is built upon the accomplishment of others. And it is through sharing that we grow as a human family. So consider, you have a gift. You are here for a reason. You have a life purpose, that each of you have chosen to be born in the family you're born in. The mystery we cannot name, what people call God, we can really not name it. We cannot define it. The moment we attempt to define this mystery, we are already missing it. So we know it is a mysterious potential, a field of blessing and beauty that we all bathe in, and we make decisions about what we will energize, considering that speech is energy and thought is energy. It is wise to energize the future we wish for rather than the one we fear. So changing our thinking begins with looking at, what do we know for sure? We understand that as human beings we all drink water and we all breathe air. And so to see the common ways in which we as human beings are united begins to sweep away the illusion of other. That illusion of other is actually a contrived trap that keep people separate from cooperating and growing together. And so the first way we put aside the illusion of other is to consider that each group has a sacred tone, a sacred medicine, and together in the human family we are creating a song that is our lives. Many years ago I studied with a Hindu musician. His name was Swami Nada Brahmananda, and he could make music come out of his body. So he began first by playing a zither, and then he would stop and the music would go on and on and on and on and on. And that was his concert. And what I learned from those lessons and his concerts is how our speech, our thought, and our action, and how we move in the world, the ripples we leave, they go on and on and on. And that the moment a human being decides to read from the garden of the mind the concept of enemy, the moment we decide to read from the garden of the mind the idea of can't or hopeless, when we read those thoughts from the gardens of our mind, we also set into motion the remembrance that we are luminous beings and that wisdom is our natural state. And so this wisdom energy, it is vast, and we train ourselves. How do we train ourselves so that we can bring this wisdom energy into skillful activity for the benefit of others? Well, you study, you go to school, you test, you explore, and also you have regular spiritual practice. You may be thinking you're too busy for regular spiritual practice, and I say when you wake up in the morning and just say, thank you, another day has come, you're confirming your relationship in the family of life, and you're also energizing the life force within. So how do I know? Because it is being tested, and it first became apparent in 1968 that a human's view, that how we look at something, has an impact on the outcome. And this was found at Brookhaven National Laboratory. There were bubble chambers where a beam of energy would be burst into the bubble chamber to dislodge the electrons in the outer part of the atom, and then to see if there was a pattern to the trajectory of those electrons as they were dispersed. And it became apparent that people's view, that the observer, had an impact upon the trajectory of the electron as it was released from the outer ring of the atom. So that was a big eye-opener. And similar research continues here in New Jersey at Princeton, where there are a random generator, thank you, senior moments. The random generator reveals when there are moments in the group field awareness of surprise, anticipation, all minds appear to come together. And that indicates that there is a shared field of understanding that connects us as human beings. So those of you who have read some of the research about that project may recall that September 11th, before the actual planes hitting the buildings, there was a huge movement in group mind coherence. So at some level, human beings sensed something. And we do sense what is arising. And just as easily as we sense what is arising, we also have the capacity to energize that which is liberating, energizing of peace and well-being of the human family. And so what's the practical application? When you have a sense of increased energy or a sense of change on the horizon, you energize appreciation for the gift of life, and you consider the future you choose to participate in. Consider the future you choose to participate in. Energize that vision by living it and doing it. And so it also means internal weed pulling. So we start to pull from the garden of our mind the idea that someone is less than or more than. We begin to see that in every human being, in everyone, there is that wisdom potential. when we can cultivate that view that every human being basically has the same want and also the same potential, then we know how to cooperate and build. So you may have the potential of language, and your friends want to learn another language. You see the fact they've already learned how to speak as the gateway for their speaking other languages, and you share your gift of languages with them through addressing that which they've already learned and honoring the pathways of learning that exist within them. So there are practical applications of insight. The skillful business person has insight to the needs of the people. Something was in the inner eye of Steve Jobs, who is actually a Zen practitioner, that he could see what would awaken people, what would inspire people. And people didn't know. I had no idea I would want to carry around an iPad. It wasn't even conceivable. I was very happy with the yellow pad in a folder. And then, when it was shown to me by my youngest brother, wow, this is really neat. And it can keep track and I can talk to everyone, so who knew that you needed it? And so, what is on the horizon? What's the next idea that you will create? It will come from you young folks. The next idea is already a seed thought in you. Is it some new translation device? I would like to be able to hold something up, I think they had it in Star Trek, where I can go to any country and instantly have it translated. That they understand me and I understand them, and that the grammar is correct. Are you working on it? Yeah, I think some of you who are in computer sciences begin to recognize the algorithms that are the basis of learning language. And the same algorithms are also the basis of our bodies arising and expressing the potential of the universe. What is light? We see light, and there is far more to the energy of light than is visible. There's an example that I think is a fun example. To consider that there is a universe of 49 octaves or 94 octaves, or chess players would say 64 octaves. There are universes, and we're looking at just at middle C. We're looking at one octave, yet all this information is flowing through us and is around us. And how do you directly access that information? By looking within. And once you've begun to sense that knowledge within, there's also the how of skillfully applying it. So you look within and you hear the voices of those who cry. They cry for water, they cry for peace. How do you make a difference? Do you want to make a difference? One of my colleagues, her name is Dr. Louise Diamond. This is a funny story, and I see you're getting tired, so I better pep it up here. So she and Ambassador MacDonald were considering establishing an institute of multi-track diplomacy, that it was clear the old way of working with peacemaking nation to nation was not quite happening. There were too many entrenched views, and the real issue of healing wasn't occurring. And so they consulted with me, and they came to visit me in Vermont, and we were in the meditation room, and there was snow on the ground, and we heard the sound of horses' hoofs on cobblestone. There's no cobblestone there. And there were this clop, 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 clop. And so I opened the patio door to look out, and a hummingbird came in and flew around the room 3 or 4 times, went out again, and we heard the horseman drive off, and I said, well, I think there's the answer. This is a good thing to do, because the bird, the symbol of the bird is, to us, a symbol of peacemaking. And the horse, although we didn't see the horse is also the one who brings order, the one who brings information. And there's even what we call a white horse society, which contemplates the development of laws that are in harmony with the sacred law of the universe. So that was a strange event. There's no explanation for, in winter with snow on the ground and a horse coming out of nowhere, up the driveway, on snow, sounding like cobblestones, opening the door, and a bird symbolizing peacemaking comes in and goes around the room. And we needed that symbol, just to be sure this is a good way to go. So it was an aspiration, it was inspired, and it has been made manifest. So you can also search online for Ambassador John MacDonald and the Institute of Multi-Track Diplomacy, where people are looking at alternatives. Where we had differences, we may also consider what we share in common. And so many of you come from around the world, and so I would intuit from that you have a commitment to understanding the world and to seeing the threads that unite people. I've had the good fortune to visit with young people in Europe who basically are trained to be part of the European community. They're trained to become leaders in that community. And I see the opportunity for you in this school and this program to train world leaders. It is not just about language or diplomacy. It is most important insight and understanding of how humans are connected and what is shared and how we can respect each other's unique ways and work cooperatively. That is the most important skill set arising. Cooperation, human beings. Because the earth is a living organism, and according to the belief systems of many Native Americans, and it's also now recognized by many scientists, and you can do some research about Rupert Sheldrake, where he speaks of a living earth. She's expanding. And our solar system is changing, and according to the calendars of ancient Mesoamerica, we are at the place where we receive again new energy, new water from the dark rift of the galaxy. And what does it mean? It has already made a change in the types of neutrinos that are coming. So what they have not been able to describe or categorize the new particles that are coming out of the sun. It's happening so quickly. And also our whole solar system, the heliosphere of our sun, the realm in which we live and share, each of the planets is also becoming warmer and brighter. And where is this energy coming from? So according to the tradition of the indigenous people of this land, and also calendars of other people, this energy is coming from the heart of the universe. And it is quickening us, awakening us to remembering that we are not separate from what people would call the divine. We are not separate from the mystery, from that which is beyond concept. We are one in this field of energy. And so, it is not a time of fear, it is a time of incredible nurturing and awakening to understand clearly the power of our mind. So, in our community, we have simple practices where we contemplate images and share them. We call it telepathy practice or subtle communication practice. Why? Because sometimes the telephones don't work or the line is busy. Yet the heart line, the heart of communication, is always clear and open. And very simply, we give thanks. Hey, I'm alive. How wonderful. There's water. May other beings have what they need. May all beings have what they need. And let me check on my mom over there, where she is on the other side of the world. Let me feel her. How is she doing? And you begin that experience by remembering the last time you spoke, the timbre of each other's voices, and the sense that you feel when you speak with each other. And in a flash, you are connected in the moment. In the moment, you can say, well, Mom, I felt you, and you can test it. And even those children who don't call or are so busy, you can always tune into them. And as a teenager, I couldn't get away with anything because my Aunt Hattie would call up my father and say, you know, she's thinking about this or that. So this field of human consciousness is an incredible energy of potential, and in a sense it is like an undulating sea. And we ourselves, for a moment, we sing out, and like a drop we appear, or you can stand by the ocean and see the drops that arise in the curl of the wave. And for a moment we are individual, and yet we return again to that wave. We're one with the field, whether we call it God, Allah, mystery, mind. We are all united in that field. So these are just Grandma's words, and you can further explore them by doing research. And what's important to research is the science of epigenetics, the impact of our thought, word, and deed on the present and the future. How we are thinking determines the outcome. And there's also been research done in terms of teachers and their view of students. And this was done in California, where some teachers were told these are the worst students, And they were actually the best students in the school. And the new teachers, when they came in, had the view these are the worst students, and they dropped them with their negative view. And so in this world of change, the first step is to look in the mirror and say, I'm thankful. I'm alive. Thankful I'm here and that I have the opportunity to learn, to study more. That thankfulness, it creates a circle of good relationship, which in our meditation practice we describe as a rainbow torus ring. You know what a torus ring is? It basically returns to itself and is giving and receiving simultaneously. And you can visit the Sunray meditation website to learn a little bit more about that. And also you can download a meditation on water practice. It is a way to acknowledge the water, and as we drink it, it becomes medicine, and we dedicate our thought, speech, and action to actualizing the wisdom potential within ourselves and within every situation. May this water be medicine to nurture the wisdom potential in every being, in every situation. As it rises from my body as perspiration, may it contribute to the purifying of the atmosphere. As it returns to the sea, may it be restorative to the streams and the ocean. As it goes deep into the earth, may it restore the earth in her balance and equilibrium. So what can water do? Well, there is a Dr. Emoto in Japan who's shown that the consciousness of the human being and how we relate to water and the messages we place in water also have an impact on the environment. There's a Cherokee view, we call ourselves Aniyunwiwa, that we may change the impurities by our chanting, adding vibration, a sound frequency that releases the bonds of that which is obscuring the potential purity of the water. So sound purification, thought purification, light purification like ozone for the pools. So it begins with each of us. What are we willing to change? First, we don't accept anyone else's opinion of what you are. You are amazing, and each of you is unique, and we are not defined by our parents, our culture. We are human beings in the moment, and at any moment we may return to our full awakened potential. And we have a spiritual responsibility to link arms with our family and clan when we understand something. When our little boys learn how to make a fire without a match, that's a big thing, because if you don't know how to make a fire without a match, you might regret it if you're in the woods and you're cold. So in our community, when the little guys learn how to make a fire without a match, when they learn with the stick or they learn with the flint, that is a very powerful moment. And that young man can share the skill with others. And so as you understand more about the nature of human fabrication, that is, the fabrication of differences, and you recognize the reality that we are human beings, one family, and that each one has gifts to bring forward, we link arms and we walk together. This same colleague, her name, who I spoke of earlier, Dr. Louise Diamond, in one of the peacemaking projects, because actually taking peacemaking into the world, it is not just sitting on our cushion. We really want to make a difference. And so where there had been genocide among communities, as people were in the process of restoring their communities and healing, the question was asked of one person who suffered horribly during this period of genocide. And how did you maintain your heart? How is it you're not angry? How is it you're not angry? And the person responded, if I maintained anger and bitterness, then they would have won. And so important the view, and to know that it is creative energy that flows through you and each of us, and that it is for us to hold the vision of right relationship, of dignified human being. And we behave that way, and others begin to remember they also are dignified, intelligent, and wise human beings. And we respect. Just as the oboe doesn't argue with the flute, they each understand their voice is necessary to the beauteous song. We also recognize the different cultures that are the character of the human family. And so some people think let's all become the same. And we are the same. And also we have carried within us unique memories, and we have special gifts, all of us, that we carry into the future. And so human family is composed of many beings, and ultimately we all trace our roots back to stardust. And you can Google that too. So I've given you just a taste of the thoughts that go through this great-grandmother's head. And you are the future, and I have confidence in you that the world is not going to be destroyed in your hands, that you understand the power of transmutation. Yeah, you do. You understand the power of mind. And I trust that those of us who are older, that we will share, not hold back any of our experience or memory, that we will give freely and ask, well, how was it in that time? And that we are loving and kind and supporting these generations in their exploration of what is to come. So that's all. Or I told my grandchildren, snip, snap, our story is done.
Thank you so much for sharing your words of wisdom in this day and age when there's so much noise going on. including this week with our first presidential debate, it's good to remember the importance of manifestation of thought and intention. So thank you for that reminder. We're going to have a brief period of question and answer. I believe the young gentleman here has a microphone. He'll be walking around with the microphone. If you have a question, please raise your hand. This lecture is being recorded, so please state your name clearly and also state your affiliation. So if you're a student, your major, for instance, or if you're a community member, your affiliation there. So is there any questions tonight? Please raise your hand. In the back.
Hi, I'm a staff member. I wanted to know how you got involved with Tibetan Buddhism, or when you were first exposed to it.
When I was a very young girl, my Aunt Hattie had a knick-knack shelf, and she had China Kuan Yin on the shelf, and also these beautiful little shoes made of porcelain and fancy china. And when I saw that Kuan Yin, she was on the bottom shelf, I picked her up, I said, "Oh, that's me," and I put her on the top shelf. And so that was a child's first experience. And over time, I've had the good fortune to meet some incredible human beings. And I actually met for the first time in 1976 His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche, and I met other remarkable human beings, and also had deep friendships with San Sunim, a Korean Zen master. So where does it begin? Where does it begin? Yeah.
Question front here.
2 years ago, I found out I was adopted. I mean, I knew I was adopted, but I found out my lineage. And I was born in 1950, and I had always had dreams about Native American people and very attracted to different cultures. And so I found out that I was part Dutch, English, French, Native American, on both sides of my family, and I was very proud to have that revealed to me, because I do believe your blood, sometimes I feel the dreams I have come from somewhere that it's like from my blood, from my ancestors, but because I didn't know, nobody told me, I guess I was in a special place to just rely on myself, but I felt lost. Not knowing who I belonged to. And I just think it's so important to realize that we belong to the human beings. We are all human beings.
Yes.
And so I always looked at it as a curse, but I try to see it and appreciate it and not allow the personal trauma of my life to cloud my vision. And when I do that, I'm having more dreams, and it's brought me here, and I'm so appreciative of Sandy, knowing Sandy and being here with you and everyone.
Yeah, all that we are, all the lessons our ancestors have of accomplishment, that wisdom is accessible. It is within us. It is some type of memory, perhaps. Certainly, culturally, we take that as very real. In our family, we know that echoes come through. And anyone in the moment, by observing the heart has direct access to all those beings who have been our parents. We may, how wonderful and what blessings that these atoms and these genes have moved in such a way that this body is formed through the kindness of those others who have gone on before.
Venerable, on campus we hear students talking about 2012. There's been so much hype about it. There's so much fear out there. There's so much misunderstanding out there. Would you kindly share with us, I know you touched upon it seriously in your presentation, but will you kindly speak to us a little more about that and how students can make the best of what this year is bringing?
Yes, this year is bringing us incredible opportunity and deep change. And the change is expressed through increased energy. And that increased energy is perceived within our bodies, our minds, our social systems, even within electronics. And so we understand in terms of solar flares the impact on non-hardened electronics. For the human being, it is valuable to be non-hardened during this time, that the energy of the sun as she expands flows through us, and that as the earth expands, we grow with her. So it is not about fear, it is more about considering nutritive water coming from the heavens, that from the dark rift of the galaxy, of the dark rift of the heavens, this nutritive water restores remembrance of our luminous state. And so, yes, concepts fall away and some convenient belief systems fall away, and we see more clearly that we are inseparable from the glory of the universe. So it is not a time to be afraid. It is a time to very carefully energize that which you choose to manifest for the benefit of all. Because we have a part to play. When you're a child, you sit there, and then at some point you pull yourself up, and then you begin to walk. And as the human family, we are remembering, and the energy of awareness is being stimulated by subtle energies. That sounds rather campy. I can tell you that there are new types of particles that are coming to our solar system, and they have an impact on us. On a simple level, these different neutrinos have changed the decay rate of radioactive isotopes that in the past were used to measure time. So it is not just a thought. This energy is indeed flowing through the universe. And it is not for us to be afraid. It is for us to understand, change and growth. And most importantly, we are also appreciative, because appreciation is also a grounding of that energy and dedicating. So in these times, may our families, our clans understand more deeply the significance of our water usage, our speech, our view. May we see more clearly that we are a human family. So it is an incredible time to be alive, and you chose to be here, and you have the gifts and the skills to handle this time. What is uncertain and gives rise to a lot of chatter that appears to be fear-minded is all concepts that like to sustain themselves. I call it the dust bunnies under the bed. So certain thought forms, they just like keep attracting more like thought form. Well, I believe that women shouldn't vote. And so this dust bunny goes out and, those girls are really getting too good at soccer and they could actually beat the guys. And, well, I think they shouldn't be playing soccer. And they should do more girly things. And so that's more dust bunny. And where does the dust bunny come from? It basically comes from fear of change. Was that clear? Okay. So, thought forms are belief systems that we have created, and then they wish to sustain themselves. And they sustain themselves by energizing like energy or making the appearance of fear. If this thought goes away, then you guys will lose the power. Or if this thought goes away, you ladies will forget how to have babies. Or, thought forms. Let's energize the future of awakened community and mutual respect and real partnership and caring. That's what we can do. So I guess I've done the spiritual house cleaning. And may it continue.
I'm going to turn the program back to Dr. Murphy now, who will do our closing remarks.
Venerable, we cannot thank you enough for sharing with us this important wisdom and for energizing all of us. I have no doubt, given the vast diversity of the population on our campuses, that each student here present is already energizing the important concept that we are a single human family, beautiful in our great diversity. And we have the power to create the future that we desire. That power is with each one of us right now. And that as you walk away, you have freed yourself of fear, and you know that you are empowered to create an extraordinary future for humanity. And we are supported in this by the very powerful energy that is flowing now, that we are receiving in every moment because of these extraordinary times. We are most grateful to you for sharing with us this consciousness-raising information. It's not that often that we have programs of this type. And I just thought it would be a wonderful opportunity for us to embrace this kind of thinking and the work that we are doing on our campuses, because we're in the business of preparing and training the people who are going to lead us into the future, not in 20 years, but now. That is what is happening now. We've seen it in the Middle East. More than ever, we've seen the power of young people transforming the future of their countries in the now. So we can't wait. And we are now preparing you to move forward as conscious leaders of our future. I would now like to ask one of our students to come forward, Amani, who comes to us from Egypt. Would you like?
Venerable, thank you very much. On behalf of the students of Fairleigh Dickinson University and on behalf of the Office of Global Learning, I'm honored to present you with this gift. Thank you very much.